it's just a cold. Like, because I did a COVID test on Friday in work. Obviously, I'm off work this week. So I just kind of came down with like a sore throat, really. I've had a sore throat for about 3 days. But I did a COVID test and it was negative. So just mad because I didn't think there was anything else going round. You know what I mean?
No.
So because like when you cough once, it's like, oh my God, it's COVID. So it's not COVID at all. It's like dead mad. So like I just had like a bit of a.
I don't think
scratchy throat.
None of us are used to just a general cold anymore, are we?
Correct. Yeah,
automatically think, oh, it's COVID. That's what it is. Hello, welcome to the interviews from These Three Media. My name is Ian Barstow. Thank you so much for downloading this episode of the podcast. Hope you are doing well. And coming up today, we speak to Lee Wylding from the Far North. A band formed in June 2019 is an avenue for Lee's artistic work. And Lee is the former frontman of the UK Americana band The Fireflies. We'll talk about that. Until the band came to its end at the end of 2019. And he's been working with a well-known producer on a brand new album, which is out now. But we will speak to him and get lots of information about that. Hello, Lee. Welcome to the interviews.
Hey, buddy. How are you, man? You okay?
Yes, I am very good, thank you. It is a nice sunny day outside. When we're recording this on, March the 29th, it's almost like a tiny little bit of summer is almost here.
It is absolutely beautiful, yes, of course. It's very nice in my native Runcorn. And if this is the kind of weather we can look forward to in the next kind of 4 months as we crawl our way out of the dark times, then sign me up.
Well, hopefully the weather doesn't suddenly go, well, do you know what? You can all go outside now, so we're just going to make it really bad weather, which is probably what will happen.
Well,
does.
Yeah, most probably, yeah.
So welcome along. Your new single called Branches was released on Friday the 26th of March. It's taken from your debut album Songs for Gentle Souls, which is out now, and people can go and download, and I'll have all the information in the show notes down below. So the Far North, explain the band to me. What type of music is it, and what's the ethos behind the group?
Yeah, I suppose it'd be UK Americana. Obviously, which probably sounds like a bit of an oxymoron, but like the Fireflies were called that as well. But I kind of wanted to go down the more acoustic route, really. The kind of more direct, personal sound. That kind of like really intimate, like Neil Young and the likes of some of Bruce Springsteen's work and City and Colour, where it's not all encompassing rock band, but it's just me and my acoustic guitar kind of singing into the listener's ear. You know what I mean? So I just wanted it to be a lot more direct and intimate, really, than the whole big band thing. And it's just like some of its roots are obviously in folk and some roots are in country, alternative country. And it's just a bit of a melting pot of all those genres, really.
See, I've got quite a mixed bag of musical tastes. So I can go from the latest top 10 pop music through to a bit of classical, a lot of musical theatre music. Yeah. But also, I have a slight thing for country and particularly bluegrass music. I love. Yeah. I really got into Nickel Creek.
Oh, great!
When they were around, they've sadly split up now as well. But when they were around, their first album is just, it was on repeat for months for me. It's just something strikes a chord with that type of heartfelt, soulful music, I think, isn't it?
Oh, very much so, yeah.
Band's been around since June last year. June 2019. Yeah. Everything's all moulding into one. Did you manage to get out and do any particular any gigs before everything stopped?
Yeah, we did one. We did the debut gig at Old Trafford, so Old Trafford Stadium, on the 8th of March. So we got invited down by the guys from MUTV and the guys at Man United, because the Fireflies had done quite a lot of things for Man United. We played Paddy Crowin's 80th birthday at Old Trafford, and we were on MUTV quite a lot. And we were played, behind the goals. We were played on match days. So we had a good connection with the football club, obviously, and season ticket holder as well. So they invited me down as part of this like brand new podcast they were launching with David May. And like I said, I stood in front of like 80,000 people, played just with my acoustic guitar, and played these tracks just next to the monument of Sir Alex Ferguson with all the ex-players and all watching, and then I had free tickets and we beat Man City as well. So it was a lovely day. That was the last thing I did before the world ended. It was a wonderful day. So it feels like it was like 5 years ago now.
It does. It's strange, isn't it? It feels like it was a long time ago, but also it feels like this past year's just gone so quick.
Oh yeah. It is. Yeah.
So what's it like playing in front of 80,000? What was the biggest? So your former band. What was the biggest sort of gig you've done for them?
Fireflies, probably Sheffield Arena, maybe, or Birmingham NEC, supporting is it Stone Gods? I don't know. We did a lot. We were together for 12 years, and we did an awful lot of gigs, awful lot of shows, like supporting Noel Gallagher, Ocean Colour Scene. That's just to name a few. We did some massive gigs, but yeah, we didn't play at Old Trafford. So, it was like say the first gig for the Fireflies as well was like the Canal Side, which was like in the middle of Runcorn. Obviously, the first gig I did as the Far North was at Old Trafford. So. Crazy. How many people get to say that?
Not many, definitely not many. Do you get nervous still when you're... Because 80,000 people, it's a lot of people. But what's more nerve-wracking? Is it singing in front of 80,000 or singing in front of a small club with 200 people where it's very close and compact and intimate? Because the Old Trafford is obviously, it's a massive stadium.
Yeah. I don't get nervous at all, really. I have been doing it too long, I think. Like I said, my first band, Warped, I formed in 1995. We got signed to Matchbox Records, and we were part of the whole Britpop thing. We never had a hit or anything, but we released like 3 or 4 albums and kind of toured the world with that band. And then the Fireflies was the same. I formed them in Canada, so it was just me. Again, it's like I've come full circle because the Fireflies was just me in Canada playing all over like Vancouver and Calgary and like Winnipeg and all these beautiful places. So when I got back to the UK, I auditioned for band members and kind of expanded it a little bit more. So I think I've done it too long to be nervous, but then never say never, because I've got a session with Whispering Bob Harris coming up. So so I think that's in May. So at the minute I'm just like pretending it's not happening because that is really nerve-wracking. So I'm like, what? So I have it. I don't usually, but I think I probably will. And I've not gigged for like over a year. Do you know what I mean? So. Like, I'll probably be a bag of nerves, to be fair, the next time I go out. So,
well, Whispering Bob Harris is a name synonymous with sort of this type of music in the UK. He's a massive champion of this type of music, and he's a massive broadcasting legend. How have you found the last 12 months? Because obviously, you'd started the new brand. I'd presume you'd have had gigs booked, and you've gone from full diary to absolutely nothing. How have you found that? What have you occupied your time with?
Well, it's very painful, really. I mean, I have the good fortune, and I do look at it as being good fortune, of having a full-time job. So I've worked in the same job now for a number of years, and it's very secure. So, the mortgage is going to get paid. Yeah. I know a lot of musicians don't have that security. So, I've never made that. Despite all the years I've played music, I've always worked it around like hiatuses or holidays, or just time off work. So I've always juggled it with a full-time job. So that kind of kept me busy. I was furloughed for a little bit like this time last year till maybe July. I did a load of like Facebook Live concerts. They were kind of like really nice. But then I think I did my last one in like maybe January this year because I'd done them for months. And I just thought, it's just not the same. It's becoming commonplace. It's becoming normal. Yeah. And I didn't want it to really. So I didn't do any more of those. Excuse me. And I just kept myself busy with work and, like I say, the live things and just that really, like I say, I go into work at 8, I finish at like 5:30 or whatnot. So that was super busy. And just with the kind of like interviews with the band and all that kind of stuff. But it's been very painful to not do any gigs. I saw an interview with Bruce Springsteen, it was on Apple TV, that Letters to You documentary he released. It was really, really good. And they did that album in like 4 or 5 days. And there was an interview with him with Zane Lowe, and he was just saying that, because it was last October, that it's very painful to not go out there. And I thought, well, if Bruce Springsteen's saying it's painful, then it has to be painful because, he's at the very top and he's got a whole big, the whole show, the workings of it all. I'm just one dude and a guitar, So if it's painful for him, it's painful for me. So, but what can you do?
Well, yes, there is. It is what it is. We're all going through it. It's a very tough time for the entertainment industry. So the theatre, live music, gigs, nightclubs, all of that sort of really, really tough time. We're hoping we're going to be back out of it at some point in the next couple of months. Do you get the feeling that first gig or that first concert that people go to is going to be one hell of a party and probably one of the best times of people's lives, because it's just going to be like we're free, let's just have a wild time.
Oh, I think so. I think as well, like, obviously when I do some shows, like, they always, the ticket sales are always great, and I always play to, a good handful of people, well, obviously more. But I think this time around with everyone, there's going to be people just buying tickets for any gig, just to experience live music. Yes. If your favourite band's not out on the road, well, if someone's in that wheelhouse, well, you go and see them. So I think people might pick up, like, other fans, new fans this time around. So, but it is disgraceful, though, the way the entertainment industry has just been left to rot. There's been no, like, economy package or budget. As far as I'm concerned, it's just been like, well, you're all out of work, deal with it,
What was it they said? You've got to reskill yourself at the start of it?
Yeah,
that was it, wasn't it? Yes. It's
quite... I mean, I'm very fortunate to have a full-time job, but if I didn't, I don't know how I'd pay the mortgage. And obviously, I know many, many full-time musicians, friends of mine, people we've gigged with, like the likes of Nigel, and mentors, record studios, record label studios. And they're all just kind of like, what the hell? So it's just been so frightening for this sector. And I think people just think, being in a band, you're just messing around. It's just a bit of fun. It's not a means to live or pay the mortgage.
I think what a lot of people don't see is yes, you have the one person on stage or the 5-piece band, but behind that you've got all your production crew, you've got your drivers, you've got your rigging crew, you've got your all of the people. There could be 150, 200 people involved behind the scenes in that one gig.
Oh yeah.
So yes, the main artist may have the income, but the people behind it they're just nothing now. They've got no job, no security or anything, and it's just all dried up. It's very tough, and I hope that people come back, and I hope that theatres. I love going to the theatre, and it's been such a shame not to see theatre productions.
Yeah.
But you just hope they've had enough to survive. But I've got a feeling that quite a lot of venues and theatres and cinemas may not reopen again.
I completely agree. I think there's a lot of them that have just, they've gone down, they've gone destitute, and they won't bounce back, and it's absolutely awful. I saw a thing, funnily enough, what you say about the road crew and whatnot, because I saw a thing on Shed 7's YouTube this week, and obviously I think Rick Witter had said that we're in the band, and we're a lot of this moving parts are kind of all right really in this lockdown. We're kind of getting through it, but you've got to think of what you've just said, Ian, the road crew. So they've done these Shed 7 road crew t-shirts, and obviously all the sales of that just go straight to their staff that they're keeping on. So no one's thought of stuff like that. No one's thought of stuff like that. It's horrendous, really.
Yeah, I just hope. I've got a feeling that Glastonbury obviously isn't on this year, but if the festivals are on, they'll just be brilliant times. Right, let's move on from COVID. Let's look forward. Let's hope.
Absolutely.
Fingers crossed that we're on the right direction. So you worked with well-known producer Nigel Stoner for this album, your new album. What was it like working with him, and what was your song partnership like? What was your writing and your producing partnership like working with him?
Yeah, so I had a chance meeting with Nigel back in 2018, I think it was. Always, been a big fan of him and the music he's made and produced. And he put the Fireflies on the Words and Music Festival that he curates in Nantwich. So he approached me at the end of it. He watched the gig. He approached me at the end of it and just said, if I ever want to do anything that's a bit more singer-songwriter, a bit more acoustic with just me, then, let's talk kind of thing. So really serendipitously, in early June 2019, the Fireflies has been split up for like a week. And we didn't put it on social media or anything. No one knew about it. And Nigel rang me out of the blue and just said, how did the Fireflies' 5th album go? Did you release it and blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, we didn't actually. And he was like, oh, right, okay. He said, what are you up to? I said, well, I've kind of formed a new band in my back pocket, but nothing, like, it's just me and an acoustic guitar, really. He was like, oh, right. He said, well, what's it called? I said, the Far North. He goes, have you got any songs? I was like, yeah, I've got like probably about 45, 50 songs. He said, all right. He said, do you want to make an album? And I said, well, actually, I've got an album title, Songs for Gentle Souls, and I've got the tracks that I'd like to go on it. His eyes kind of widened. He was like, well, this guy's got a plan. So I went over to Nantwich, which was only 40 minutes away from here. And we went for a nice cup of tea in a place, in a lovely little snug called The Cat. And we just chatted for like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 hours. And he just said, I'd love to produce something, even if it's an EP or an album or whatnot. So I spoke to Ian at Red Lantern Records, who obviously the Fireflies were signed to, and the guys at the Analog Music Fund. And they said, we're on board with this. We can help fund this, and the label would definitely put it out. So we were like, wow, that was a nice kind of chance of meetings, really, the way it happened. And before we knew it, I think it was about July the 23rd, we were in Airtight Studios in Manchester. They literally started recording it. It was properly mad, where Nigel had just come out of nowhere and was like, how's it going, And I was like, the guy but he's such a sweet guy as well. Like, obviously I wrote the songs and we demoed a lot. I'd send them to him and he was like, yeah. So he whittled it down to 20 and ultimately whittled it down to 11 tracks. And the process every day is like, obviously he's like the captain of a ship, where this is what we're going to do today. We're going to listen back to what we did yesterday. Right, okay, well, today it's going to be drums, bass, a few scratch guitar tracks. And he just had a plan. He had a total plan for every day. And I think we recorded it all in 30 days. So spaced out between July 2019 to February 2020. And it was a really, really kind of joyous process. There was a lot of like energy and chemistry in the studio. And we think that we got like a good vibe on the album. We think we really captured some really one-off performances as well. That kind of, the album sounds the same from start to finish. It's warm all the way through, with the peaks and troughs and all that kind of thing. So yeah, so the relationship between me and Nigel, obviously we've remained really good friends, very humbled by the opportunity and the experience. And it was just a really, really eye-opening, thing for me, really. And that's how, big time producers work, So it was very easy as well. It was a really easy process. We were on the same page. We didn't butt heads at all. There wasn't a point where I thought, well, that needs a tambourine or that needs a bit of piano. I'd suggest something. They'd be like, well, yeah, that works. Let's do it. Let's try it. There was nothing was kind of off the table, really, which was quite nice. There was no kind of like friction between us both. It was wonderful, really.
Do you think some songs can be way overproduced? And you will sort of lose that? So I'd imagine, you have a vision of the song a sound of a song in your head.
Yeah.
And you get to the studio, you record it, and then if you were with someone else, they may go, actually, you need to add that, and that. Do you have, sort of, when you have a song in your heart, are you open to suggestions to change, or are you?
Definitely, yeah. Because Branches was a Firefly song. It was originally a Firefly song. So was Runaway and This House Is Ours, the 3 singles. And those versions are kind of like, just a bit lackluster, a bit languid. They just weren't they didn't have that fire in any of them. And we didn't have a producer. We recorded them all ourselves. And I'm not like saying anything negative about the Fireflies, but we were a rudderless ship for quite a while towards the end.
Yeah.
And so I kind of said to Nigel, I wanted to redo some of the old Firefly songs, and he was like slightly resistant at first, like, well, you've got so many new tracks, we don't need to revisit these. But I'm glad we did, because we got them right, and particularly Branches. I always wanted the pedal steel on it. I wanted the female vocals on it. I wanted the energy and how intimate the lead vocal is. Just so much stuff. I wanted to envision it, and we did. We did. It was absolutely fantastic. So there isn't a track on there really that we didn't fully realise from the embryonic stage of a bare bones acoustic track with like maybe scant vocals to how it sounds now. And we were very, very sure to not overproduce it, because for me, one of the great albums of all time is Appetite for Destruction. And I do believe that Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, there's a great album there somewhere if you just put it down to one album and you take away all the saxophones and the trumpets, the violins. It was way, way too overproduced. There was too much going on with that album. And we were like, I was very kind of like, sure that I didn't want to do that really, just like all the bells and whistles and stuff. So
I think sometimes you watch MTV Unplugged that used to be on. I don't know if they still do.
Yeah,
they used
love
to
that, yeah.
MTV Unplugged, and literally it was just acoustic.
Yeah.
And if you're an artist that can do acoustic, because some artists can't. Some artists,
of course,
they need the vocal and the stuff on the on their microphones. But if you've got an artist that can do a really nice acoustic set, it's just so magical. It's just so...
It is.
You can just sit there and just let it wash over you almost.
Yeah, there is a magic, there is a chemistry, a force with acoustic music, just a vocal and an acoustic guitar, like you say. It's so overwhelming sometimes. It's so raw that it is the very bare minimum musically, but yet you will touch people's hearts with it. You know what I mean? It's like when Nirvana released the Unplugged thing. I mean, I loved Bleach, Nevermind, and In Utero, and even Insecticide or Pesticide, whichever. No, the B-side thing. I loved it. And but when they released that Unplugged, I know there was like drums on it and a violinist, but geez, it was so visceral. It was way more potent than Nevermind. Because it wore its heart on its sleeve. It had nowhere to hide. But like you say, there are, some bands couldn't do an Unplugged. Pearl Jam did a great one, the Black Crowes, but I don't think Metallica did one. I suppose they did that big S&M thing, didn't they? But there are some bands that just can't get away with it. And I hope to be an artist that can, because obviously I write all the tracks on an acoustic guitar and there's not that much change really.
Well, I saw one of the first ever concerts I went to V Festival. I hate to think how long, 15 years ago probably. And it was one of the first, I hadn't been to many live music, and I won tickets, VIP tickets, because I work for Virgin anyway. And we went to see a headline, and the headline on the Saturday was Muse.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think I've ever been quite blown away by a performance, because they were just a wall of sound, a wall of energy. They were astonishing. But I don't know if it would work for them quite so well if they were just doing an unplugged acoustic session, because they need that oomph noise and that oomph feeling, I think.
Yeah, I think, I hadn't thought of that, but you're completely right. I saw Muse at the Lomax, the L2 in 1999. They just released Showbiz. I think Muscle Museum or Sunburn was the album, the single it was up to. And there was like 200 people in there. It was incredible. But yeah, I think with that band as well, like as incredible as they are, Matt Bellamy's voice really works in that setting.
Yeah.
But I'm not so sure it'd work if it was just acoustic guitar kind of belting out his high pitch kind of, just for an hour and a half with the acoustic. I don't know if it'd be, his vocals don't sit in the mix. They're very, very much out there. But, maybe they might surprise us and they might do an acoustic album at some point,
Yeah, they may only be able to perform in front of a couple of hundred people to start with, and that might be one of their ideas. I saw a video of... and I can't remember her name now, but she did an a cappella version of Oh Holy Night.
Oh, yeah.
And it is absolutely stunning. It was not in a theatre, probably a couple of thousand people. There wasn't a sound, and it was just her voice. And it was just like, when you listen and you literally get the chills.
Oh, yeah.
It was that. It was just, can't remember her name, which is not very good if I brought it up, but it was, if you search Oh Holy Night a cappella, you'll find her. It's very good.
Have you seen Heart's version of Stairway to Heaven? Have you seen that?
No.
Where? Oh, man, it's on YouTube, right? So Heart's version of Stairway to Heaven, like the 3 members of Led Zeppelin are like in the crowd, like in a box. I think Jason Bonham's on drums. Like I sent it to one of my friends who's a huge muso, really big music fan, like us. And he was like, what have you sent me that for? Heart? I'm like, no, give it a chance. They're a great band, Heart. Wonderful band. It is that good, that performance. It's like, it's emotional. It's so good, mate, honestly. I urge you to watch it. Yeah, it's fantastic.
I'll look at that. And if you haven't watched, Adam Lambert there's a big President's Night, I think they call it. But he was there performing in front of Shirley Bassey or Tina Turner. It's one of the bigs. And he did not an a cappella, but a really stripped back vocal version. Yeah. Of one of the Queen songs, and it's just it's sublime, absolutely sublime. Anyway, we can muse about music. Yeah, we digress. We can muse about music for a long time. So you said earlier you had sort of 40, 50, 60 songs in your back pocket for this album. What's your writing process? Have you got a notebook where literally you get an idea or one line or a word or a visual or something? How do you come up with your songs?
It's quite bizarre, really. I think. Anyway, I heard Noel Gallagher talking about it, and I've heard I think Keith Richards has said the same thing. Bono, maybe Chris Martin, and they said that the guitar or the instrument is a fishing rod, and you can just pluck certain songs out of the ether. So it sounds quite trite, it does sound a little bit like, well, it's full of it, but that's how I've always written songs. So I sit down at the piano or get my guitar, and I'll just start playing away. And if it's like E, C, G minor, G, D, sorry, like I've played those chords a million times, 1,000,001 times. Yet this one time it's different. It's like a different vibe now.
Yeah.
And the words will come out almost fully formed. Like all the tracks on this album, most of the Firefly stuff, I don't tend to revisit it. I go, so I press record on my phone, obviously. And then I go back and like write the lyrics down, and I think, oh, that was a nice little change. There's a middle eight there. I might do some slight tinkering with it later on at a later date, but every track on Songs for Gentle Souls was just written exactly like that. So just sat at the piano late at night or the acoustic guitar and just started playing. And these lyrics just seem to drop from the air. And it sounds like absolute hokum. Like it really does, like twaddle. But it's like how I wrote songs. So I feel quite blessed with it, really. I mean, I've not wrote Stairways to Heaven or This Charming Man. I'm aware of that. But, in my little world, these are my little songs that I'm getting out,
Is there any songs that you wrote when you were younger? Do you keep have you got like a stack of notebooks?
Yeah, I got them all, yeah.
Would you ever go back to some of them, and would you sort of go, right, I'm going to have a look at a notebook from 2009, pick it out and flick through it and go, do you know, actually, that will be...
Yeah. Well, I was in the band Warped. So we formed that band in 1995 with my two friends. And during the lockdown, one of my friends, like towards the end of it, like September, when it was a little bit more lax, my friend came round and we sat out in the garden. And I had all the old Warped notebooks from like 95 to 2003. And we were looking through them. And I wasn't like blown away by the content. Obviously, it was my first band. I was only 16. But there was some stuff, there was some really good songs that we practiced and we played live for years that never made it onto any of our like 3 or 4 albums. So there's some stuff that's like ripe for plucking, really, that back there that I could kind of tinker with a little bit and make it a bit more earnest and a little bit more kind of far north. But yeah, I did. Yeah, we both kind of looked through the books and were like, "Oh, did we really write this stuff?" Like it was like wholly embarrassing, really, but it was a funny little journey to go down.
How do you see the music industry at the moment? So obviously everybody has technology. So I'm literally sat in my house in the spare bedroom with a microphone and a mini little mixing desk to make this sound. But you've got people now, you can go and pick up a sampling machine and you can go and pick up all the equipment you need for not that much money off the internet. We've all got really good computers. We can all record loads of brilliant stuff. But you don't seem to see many non-big band, non-big label groups breaking out still. You get the odd one. Yeah. You get the odd ones. It was a guy that's number one with the sea shanty song.
I've no idea. I've not listened to the charts for 20 years.
He was off TikTok and he did a sea shanty song and that got picked up. That went viral. But how do you think artists can make money now? Because streaming doesn't pay, does it?
No.
If I stream your song on Spotify, you probably get 0.00000 whatever pence. You don't get. It's not like you're getting 99p's worth of every time you stream a song. So how do you see the music side at the moment? People consuming music.
I think obviously like Songs for Gentle Souls had about 150,000 downloads and streams since November, which isn't a great number, but it's there and it's doing what it did. Like I said, I put that down, so we can't gig, we can't get out there. So, but yeah, I think the business model at the moment, I think merch has got a big thing to do with it. I think merchandise. If you've got merchandise or vinyl, people come to your show and they're going to buy it. That's what we did with the Fireflies, and you can make a lot of money on tickets and merch. But I think you can make money musically with CDs and vinyl. But like you say, Spotify, the business model's like it's great. I mean, it's great for the label heads and everyone that's already kind of made it. And I love Spotify because I listen to stuff all day long. It's fantastic, but not for me as an artist, not by a long chalk. But it's just one of those things. It is weird to envision what's around the corner. How is this going to because, like you say, you don't really get many indie bands breaking through. I mean, I've never really thought of it as a catalyst for what I wanted to do to become mainstream, or I've always done like quite well out of it. Really, filled lots of venues and done some really nice support slots and played to loads of people. So, but I couldn't imagine me going like top 40 or anything like that, or doing a big tour support with someone that was massively mainstream. But I've never really wanted to. It depends what you got into it for, really. I just want to play my music to people that care, people that want to listen to it. You know what I mean? People like me that are massive music fans. But
so you're not the X Factor generation, then? You don't want to be famous?
Absolutely not. No. Well, if you want to be famous, you may as well go and murder a prostitute or something. It's like, that'll get you in the news. It's like, no, well, I'm in my mid-40s. It's like, I'm well past that, So like when X Factor came out in 2002, I was about 26. So I just was like, this is pathetic, and it's like that. It's kind of vacuous, morally bankrupt kind of medium where, like in the old days of Rome, where they'd string the idiots up and stone them or throw fruit at them. It's the same thing for me. It's just a like court jester, and you get these people going, oh, Simon, it's been my dream since I was like 9 and they're like 14. It's insane. I never understand why anyone would make a fool of themselves on national TV.
See, I stopped watching because it's when they start going, oh yeah, I'm 18. When were you born? Oh, 2002. It's like, shut up. You're not 18 and born in the 2000s. It's just not possible.
I know, yeah.
The 90s were only 10 years ago, honestly.
Well, last year, 1999, wasn't it? Shed 7 had only just released Going for Gold, so it can't be 2021 now. Crikey.
I know. It's so scary how quick it goes.
How old are you, Ian?
42.
Oh, we're the same age, yeah. Yeah.
So
you look very young, mate. I don't think you're in your 40s.
Thank you. Right, let me just time that. Right. I'll clip that one. I'll play that one.
I thought you were about 33.
Oh, bless you. So yeah, I'm definitely playing that one out. So yeah, my music was. I grew up a lot on the dance music of the mid 90s and that. Yeah. And I always imagine, so if you go and visit your grandma or granddad in a home and they're sat there and they're all singing along to Vera Lynn or something like that, when we end up in homes and our grandchildren are coming to see us, we're going to be there. Sandstorm will come on,
or Darude,
or Robert Miles, or
Sunshine, Dario G,
something like that, and we'll all be sat there, and then all these old people will suddenly be going, because that's our music.
The 90s was incredible, like that kind of that dance phenomenon of like, it was always a female vocal put to like da, 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 da. It was incredible. What an incredible time, like Ultranate and Strike, and it was incredible. And I really enjoyed grunge, and I enjoyed Britpop as well, like Ocean Colour Scene and all those kind of bands like Shed 7 and Oasis, obviously. But what a time! The 90s was an incredible time. We'll never see the likes of that again, unless they predict it and it happens, and guitar bands get to, get money spent on them, But I've been listening to a lot of like Shed 7 and Ocean Colour Scene at the moment, like literally going back and just consuming, a Maximum High, Let It Ride, Change Giver. Their albums, and like they were incredible. They were so underrated at the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Because everything was Oasis, Blur, and Suede and Pulp. But Shed 7 and Ocean Colour Scene, like the musicianship of Paul Banks, the guitarist in Shed 7, and Steve Craddock and Oscar Harrison, crikey. They were like virtuosos. They are virtuosos. Yet the annals of history wasn't that kind, because they weren't Oasis. They weren't Blur. It's like, if they'd have come out any other time, they'd have been absolutely like as big as U2, you know? And it just wasn't to be because of.
And now people think Ocean Colour Scene, you think, one hit wonder, maybe? They were but they didn't. So many hits. They had loads, didn't they? Yeah,
I think Shed 7 had like 14 hits, 14 top 20 hits.
Yeah.
Incredible band. Incredible.
Yeah. And now they're all almost probably mid-50s now.
They're not, though, They're young. They? I'm sure Rick Whitter's only 47.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
If you look at the video to On Standby and Chasing Rainbows and Bully Boy, they are so young. They're like teenagers in those videos. So they're still not even that old.
It's that whole Manchester vibe, wasn't it? That whole Manchester. Yeah. I'm just going to quickly look. I'll cut this bit out. But have you seen the Sky film?
Creation Story.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
So it's absolutely I'll be honest, I didn't really know of him. The name didn't ring a bell, but his life.
Alan McGee?
Yeah, his life is just. It's one of those lives you'd want to live.
Oh yeah.
But not have the medical issues.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't want to take smack or anything, or crack or anything like that. Yeah, yeah.
But you would love to be there. Yeah, love to be there. One of my favourite films is Being Famous.
It's a great film.
I watched it a couple of years. I'd not seen it for years. I watched it a couple of years ago. It's so good, and it's like I want to do his job. That would be imagine being
Lester Bangs.
Yeah, imagine doing that. It'd be amazing. Okay, so what's your earliest musical memory? What were your parents listening to that got you hooked in that music?
I think my mum listened to Motown almost ad nauseum, and it was great. Just the likes of the Four Tops, the Supremes, and Stevie Wonder and Smokey Robinson, and there was so many, the Jackson 5. Like, it was just on in our house all the time, and it's such great music. Like, you listen to that and you think that, like, a lot of them were so young, like so super young when they did it, and those songs will last until the sun burns out. They're so incredible. So for me, it was Motown. I really, really liked it. I still do. It still gives me great kind of like nostalgia, like looking back on it. So that was my first musical kind of experience where I thought, I didn't know why it touched me. I didn't know why, because I was like maybe 8 or 9, and then it wasn't until grunge and Britpop where I picked up the guitar. But yeah, I definitely Motown. Love it.
So I think mine was probably one of the earliest memories I have of music is Simon and Garfunkel. My mum and dad love Simon and Garfunkel, and it's one of those. When I was younger, they put it on. It's like, I'd really like this, but got to be cool. You can't say you like Simon and Garfunkel. But now it's like Simon and Garfunkel. So cool now, Simon and Garfunkel come on the radio. It's like, I love this song. What's your favourite band of all time? Hard question.
No, the Smiths.
Oh, really?
I just love the Smiths like so much. I've been listening to them a lot recently. I think just to have said what they were saying in 1981 to 1987 or 82, just to have been like, I've been vegan for 4 years and been vegetarian for the best part of 20 because of the Smiths, and I didn't get into them till I was 25. So obviously that was around the dawn of the millennium. So to have said meat is murder, to have said it's okay to be different, and to be just to have all their covers were like so they were like super avant-garde, weren't they? It was really kind of out there, it was like just an incredible band. Like Johnny Marr is just like a wizard of a guitar player. You can't play how he plays. No one can. Johnny Marr can't play like that. And just Morrissey's lyrics, just that kind of romanticism, that kind of poignant, like death at one's elbow, But yeah, it was funny. I don't know. We'll never see a band like this, the Smiths. I mean, what a band they were.
Yeah. God. What's your favourite live performance?
Funnily enough, I went to see Johnny Marr in Liverpool in 2013, obviously in his own band. And he did for the encore. He's just like a live wire, man. He was like, check it out. He was just talking to the crowd like they was mates. It was amazing. And he played There Is a Light That Never Goes Out. And I've heard Morrissey sing it, but to hear Johnny Marr sing it in a smaller setting at the O2 in Liverpool, that was incredible. Incredible. Wow.
Is it one of those things that will stop with you?
Oh yeah. And I was really emotional too. I was like, I had a bit of a cry because music moves me. Music does that to me, and I just thought I'd never because I looked at the Setlist FM the night before, and he was kind of doing it like arbitrarily, like he wasn't doing it every night.
Yeah,
and then he just kind of ran back on stage. Was like, okay, right, check this one out, and he was like, dun dun do 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 do, and that was it. I was like, right, kind of like maybe 20 people back at the front, just being like, this is a moment. This is a moment.
Excellent. If you could pick a ultimate lineup for a band, so who would it be?
That's a great question. That I don't want to be like, I don't want to go for the obvious ones really, but that is a great question. I think because people are going to say lead guitar, it's always Hendrix and like Moon on drums, isn't it? So for me, on the drums, definitely Max Weinberg from the E Street Band. Like what a drummer he is. I think John McVie from Fleetwood Mac on the bass, just Jeez, what a bass player. I think lead guitar is going to be, for me, Mark Knopfler. Like when I listen to Dire Straits, they just take me to a different place, and we're not in this realm. It's incredible. And once I heard, I think it was Fern Cotton from Radio 1 saying they were a guilty pleasure. They're a guilty pleasure. Dire Straits, not on my watch. What a band! I think vocals. Oh man, for me, I mean, it's a hodgepodge of a band. This I'm going to go with either Ian Curtis or Morrissey. Like probably Ian Curtis, really. I'm going with Ian Curtis and then on I think we're going to go piano. Probably Boom Gasper from Pearl Jam on piano, and on rhythm guitar, Izzy Stradlin from Guns N' Roses. What a fine.
That'd be a gig and a half, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it just? Crikey, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that would be a good one. Excellent. Right, so your single Branches is out now. We can find you on all the big streaming platforms. Go and buy the song. Go and buy the song and buy the album, Songs for Gentle Souls. Actually go and buy it rather than streaming it. Get some money in. When are you hoping to be back on the road, all things considered?
If we can pencil something in for like autumn, October, November, then that would be absolutely great. That would be wild. But I'm just full of trepidation of, at the moment, like my psyche is like glass half empty, I'm just like, there's going to be a third wave, and we're opening things up soon, which is great. We need to for mental health, for the economy, for ourselves. But I don't know. It could be like this time next year, really, before it really gets going, the live music. But, sign me up as soon as, really, if it will let us,
Well, I watched a video today, and in Spain, who have been obviously very badly hit as the rest of the world with COVID, they've had a test gig of 5,000 people in a stadium. Everybody that went in had to have a rapid test before they could go in. They all had to have their temperature taken. They're all but they were together. They all had masks on. They all had the face coverings on, but they were stood together, as in a proper concert. And it was just. I honestly watched it on Twitter today, and I thought, and it just made me feel a little emotional, because it's like it's such a normal everyday thing that is so alien to us now.
Oh, it's mad, isn't it?
You watch a TV show that was filmed 2 years ago, and they're hugging, or
they're all together,
or they're sat in the pub, and you're thinking, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, it is honestly the psyche. It's got us like that.
Yeah,
I watched a Monday Night Football clip from just over a year ago. So it was the United Liverpool game. And Carragher and Gary Neville were sat so close to each other. It was incredible. They were like 6 inches apart. And I kind of like it now, where everyone's a little bit like your personal space isn't invaded. I can't be doing with the masks. Like I always wear a mask, but I can't be doing with that aspect. I don't like it. So I think if we can still be socially distant through etiquette, because who likes people here anyway, and we don't have to wear masks, then fine. It kind of works for me.
Bonus everywhere. See, I'm a motorsport fan, so I can't wait for motorsport to be back open, so I can go and actually watch some motorsport live.
That'd be great.
But I was watching the Grand Prix, and they had a few people in the crowd on Sunday, and it's like, there's people there. There's
people there now. Wow.
Yeah.
Bad.
It's very strange. Lee, thank you so much. You can find more about the band at theflynorth.co.uk. Go and download and buy the music from the Far North. Lee Wylding, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me in.
Thank you very much to Lee Wylding from the Far North for joining me on this week's episode of The Interviews. Don't forget to like, follow and share the podcast, and you won't miss an episode. The Interviews is a These Three media production.